everyone and welcome back to my channel. In today's video we're going to be learning how to cut this bustier gown with a slit in front. So if it's something you would love to learn, do well to watch to the end of the video, like, share and subscribe. So let's get right into it. The first thing is to take our vertical measurement, and from the top here is our starting point and our shoulder line. From there I'm going to come down to mark my bust point. For my shoulder to my bust point is 9.5. I will go ahead and extend that point across this way. Then from the top again I'm going to come down to mark my under bust point. For my shoulder to my under bust is 12 inches. I'll mark that and extend the point across as well. Then from the shoulder line again I'm going to come down to mark my waist point. From my shoulder to my waist point in front is 16 inches. I'll mark that and extend the line across. Then from the waist I'm going to come down to mark my hip point. From my waist to my hip point is 9 inches. For a short person you can use 7 or 8 inches, and then I will extend the line across. Then the next thing is to mark the length of the gown I'm working with. I'm going to be marking 32 inches as the length. It depends on what you want. You can do more than 32 or less than 32. So this is my full length, my hip line, my waistline, my under bust line and my bust line. I'm going to come to the shoulder line, divide my shoulder by 2, which is 7.5. I'm going to mark the 7.5 here. At that point I'll come down by 1 inch for my shoulder slope. I'll come here to mark my basic neck of 3 inches. I will connect from the shoulder slope all the way to the neck width. I will come down to mark my neck depth, though we'll adjust this neck later, and I'll connect it this way. Then the next thing is to mark our chest line, and to mark your chest line you're going to divide your bust by 6, then add 1.5 inches to the measurement. I got 7, and I will extend that point across this way. And this is my chest line. On my chest line I'm going to mark my shoulder measurement here to have a straight line, and then I will connect from the shoulder slope all the way to the point we just marked on the chest line. I'll come to this line, divide it into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint. At that point I'll go in by ½ an inch. I'll come to the chest line, divide my bust circumference by 4, then I'll connect the point to form my armhole this way. The next thing is to mark our dart, and to mark our dart you're going to divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2. My nipple to nipple measurement divided by 2 is 3.5. I'll mark it on the bust line, on the under bust line, on the waistline all the way to the full length, and then I'll go ahead and connect all these points together with a straight line. So this side now become my center front, and this is my side front. So I'm going to come to the under bust line. On the center front I'm going to be marking ½ an inch, and then on the side front I'll mark 1 inch. But if you're a plus size person you can mark 1.5 inches on the center front and 2 inches on the side front. I'll do the same thing on the waistline. I'll connect the points together with a straight line this way. And then from the bust line I'm going to come down by 1 inch. I will use my curve rule to just connect from the under bust all the way to that 1 inch this way. Then I'm going to connect this all the way to the midpoint of our armhole this way, and I'm going to mark ½ an inch on both sides of this line like this to tighten up this place, and connect it back into the initial line with my curve rule this way. So the 1 inch we took here for our tightening here, I'm going to replace it. This 1 inch I'll replace it here so we don't have any shortage when we are sewing. I will extend this line to meet the 1 inch this way. I'll also replace the 1 inch on the chest line, and I'll reconnect my armhole this way. I'm going to bring my dart all the way to the full length. So here on the waistline I'll mark ½ inch on the center front, 1 inch on the side front. On the full length I'll mark ½ inch on the center front and 1 inch on the side front as well. Then I'll connect the line all the way to the full length this way. So the next thing is to impute our round body measurement. We've already marked our bust measurement. I'll come to the under bust, divide my under bust by 4, then replace the 1.5 inches for that. I'll come to the waistline, divide my waist by 4, then the 1.5 inches for that, I'll also replace it. I'll come to the hip line, divide my hip by 4, I'll mark it down, then replace the dart intake here as well. So whatever I have as my measurement on the hip line, I'll bring it down to the full length, and I'll go ahead and shape my pattern this way. Make sure you blend every sharp edge. I'll add 1 inch for my sewing allowance to all the measurement, and I'll just shape it out as well. So the next thing we are going to do right now is to mark our bust dart. And to mark your bust dart is different from your shoulder to your waist in front and back. My shoulder to my waist in front is 16 inches, while the back is 14.5 inches, and the difference is 1.5 inches. I came down by that 1.5 inches from the bust line, and then I connected back into the bust line this way, and we are going to cut out this part here. So I'm going to divide my shoulder slant into 2 to get a midpoint. Then from the midpoint, I'm going to connect all the way to the neck depth this way. And this is basically it. We don't need this first one again, but it depends on how wide you want your neck to be. So make sure you close down your bust dart before cutting out. And this is basically it for the front. This is the front pattern. This is we are going to be cutting the center front unfold, and we're going to be cutting the side front times 2. So to create that slit we have in front, we are going to be joining the side front to the center front and sew all the way to the point you want the slit to start from, and then we are going to stop at that point. It depends on how long or short you want the slit to be, and that is basically it for the front pattern. We're going to keep this aside so we can work on the back pattern. For the back pattern, I've already gone ahead to rule out the necessary lines from my shoulder to my bust point, my waist point, my hip point, and the full length. And then I have a zipper allowance of 1.5 inches. I'll come here to mark my shoulder measurement here. At that point, I'll come here by 1 inch for my shoulder slope, mark my basic neck of 3 inches. I'll connect from the shoulder slope all the way to my neck width. Then I'm going to come down by 1 inch for my neck depth, and I'll connect the point together with my curve rule. The next thing is to mark our chest line. Divide your bust by 6, add 1.5 inches, just the way we did for the front. I'll mark it here. I will extend the line across. This is the chest line. On the chest line, I'll mark my shoulder measurements here, and then I'll connect from the shoulder slope all the way to this point. I'll come to this line, divide it into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint, and at that point I'll go in by 1/2 inch. We are basically repeating what we did on the front pattern. Mark my bust circumference on the chest line, and then I'll connect my point this way. The next thing is to mark our dart. Divide your nipple to nipple measurement by 2, and I'll mark it on the chest line, on the bust line, on the waistline, on the hip line, all the way to the full length. And I'll go ahead and connect my point together with a straight line this way. So I'm going to come to the waistline and mark 1/2 inch on both sides of our dart leg like this. I'll come down from the chest line by 1 inch, and then I'll go up from the hip line by 3 inches. Then I'll connect my dart this way. So I'm going to extend this to the midpoint of our armhole like this to have that precise dart. But if you want to leave it as a normal basic dart, you can do that as well. So I'll extend this point by 1/2 inch here, and I'll reconnect my armhole this way. So the next thing is to impute our ram body measurement. We've already marked our bust measurement. I'll come to the waistline, divide my waist by 4. Then the 1 inch dart here, I'm going to replace it. I'll come to the hip line, divide my hip by 4. I'll mark it. Then whatever I have on my hip line, I'll bring it down to the full length, and I'll go ahead and shape my pattern this way. I'm going to add 1 inch for my sewing allowance, just the way we did for the front pattern. And I'll go ahead and shape my pattern as well. I'm going to come to the zipper side here on the waistline, and I'll mark 1/2 inch here. This is to eliminate any form of zipper bulge around this area. And I'm going to slant it up this way and down. So the excess we have here, we're going to cut it out. This is very necessary, so your zip will not bulge after sewing. I'll come to the shoulder slant, divide it into 2 equal halves to get the midpoint, just the way we did for the front, and I'll connect all the way to the neck depth this way. And this is basically it for the back. The next thing for us now is to go ahead and cut out. So this is the back pattern, this is the center back, and this is the side back, and this is the front. This is basically it for this tutorial. It's a very simple tutorial. If you find this video helpful, please do well to like, share and subscribe. And if you have any question, anything you don't understand at all, do well to drop it in the comment section and I will attend to it. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and I will see you in the next video.